so long and rangy.
Put away.
On a power.
What happens when pure destruction is wrapped in the form of a 26-year-old British-Bulgarian destroyer? Dakota Ditcheva isn't just a rising star in women's MMA. She's a walking nightmare for anyone who dares to stand across from her. Don't let the soft-spoken demeanor or the model-like looks fool you. With 14 wins, 12 of which were knockouts, 1 submission, and only 1 went the distance, she has a flawless record. Opponents don't just lose to Ditcheva, they get erased from consciousness, folded by kicks, and battered by strikes that leave them wondering what hit them. Let's dive into the moments that made Dakota Ditcheva the most terrifying force in the PFL. From jaw-dropping knockouts to cold-blooded finishes, here are the fights that turned Ditcheva from rising star to the queen of destruction.
I'm just a host, I'ma sling the truth, bang the booth, burn it down, hear the truth.
She's brilliant. She do well just boxing. Really, really amazing athlete.
Hear the truth. I'm not a dope dealer, I'm just a host, I'ma sling the truth.
Dakota's skills. She is one of the most spiteful strikers that we've ever seen in the PFL.
I go hard, handle the Bible when they God. I go hard.
Dakota fought Taila Santos at the PFL Superfight event in October 2024. This wasn't just a fight, it was a survival test. Taila Santos, a powerhouse grappler who nearly dethroned Valentina Shevchenko, was supposed to be too much for Ditcheva. And in round 1, it looked like that might be true, as Santos controlled the action with relentless takedowns and suffocating pressure. But Ditcheva, ever the warrior, adapted. She dug into her arsenal, chopping Santos down with leg kicks and unleashing her sharp boxing skills in rounds 2 and 3. By the final bell, it was razor close, but Ditcheva had done just enough to secure the split decision victory. Against all odds, she had conquered one of the toughest flyweights in MMA history. Ditcheva made her MMA debut against Jenny Line at Caged Steel 25 in Doncaster, England, in April 2021. Making a splash in your debut is one thing, but making your opponent wish they never signed the contract, that's another. By the time Dakota made her MMA debut on April 10th, 2021, she was already battle-hardened from the Muay Thai ring. And poor Jenny Line, she had no idea what was coming. From the opening bell, the skill gap was impossible to ignore. Ditcheva stalked her prey, peppering her with kicks and punches, testing her defenses before unleashing the final execution. Line gasped for air, her gas tank draining fast, and that's when Dakota went in for the kill. Elbows rained down, knees crashed into her ribs. When Line desperately tried to get back to her feet, a spinning elbow and a brutal knee shut her lights out. The referee had seen enough. That was an absolute masterclass from Ditcheva. Dakota faced Carrie Isim at Celtic Gladiator 30 in the United Kingdom in September 2021. When Ditcheva entered MMA, it wasn't like throwing a fish into a pond. It was like tossing a great white shark into a fish tank. Carrie Isim found that out the hard way. She tried to close the distance, but every attempt was met with brutal punishment. Vicious kicks, a front kick to the face, a stiff hook that left her dazed. Once Dakota got her in the clinch, it was pure carnage. A spinning elbow followed by a knee rocked Isim, but she refused to go down. You know what's the big mistake? Dakota switched gears, went full Dagestani mode, and took her down with authority. Once she was on top, it was a massacre. The referee had no choice but to step in. Dakota moved to 2-0, and the world took notice. Ditcheva competed against Patricia Borges in a professional 59-kilogram catchweight bout at UK Fighting Championships in December 2021. By December 2021, Dakota wanted to close out the year with a bang. Enter Patricia Borges, a fighter who tried to neutralize Dakota's striking by turning the fight into a grappling match. You think it's a smart idea. In reality, it was a complete disaster. Borges clung onto Ditcheva like a grandma at a family reunion, but Dakota wasn't having it. She broke free, flipped the switch, and turned into a human buzzsaw. The ground and pound came in relentless waves, each shot hammering Borges deeper into unconsciousness, until the referee had to pull Dakota off. "She needs to do something," the commentator yelled, but it was too late. Ditcheva fought Simone Silva at PAWFC 1, held at the Grey Eagle Events Center in Calgary in January 2022. There was a time when Simone Silva was a dangerous opponent. That time had passed. Silva once had a respectable 10-2 record, but as of late, she had taken more shots than 50 Cent, and Dakota had no interest in letting her off easy. From the start, it was open season, a vicious kick, a crisp boxing combo, and an onslaught of clinch work that had Silva begging for an escape. To her credit, Silva became the first fighter to survive a round against Dakota. But in this sport, sometimes surviving is worse than going out early. By round 2, Dakota found her moment. A brutal knee, a ferocious combination, and Silva was done. "This is it! This is it!" the commentator screamed. And just like that, Dakota again wrote history. Ditcheva faced Hasna Jaber at PFL 9, 2022 playoffs at the Copper Box Arena in London, England, in August 2022. When the PFL called, Dakota answered with violence. Hasna Jaber, a tough 3-1 fighter, was supposed to be a decent test. Instead, she became Dakota's latest victim. The moment Jaber showed she wanted to fight, Dakota came with a massive barrage that sent her stumbling. A front kick sat her down, and then came the clinch and a knee to the liver. Jaber was waving the white flag. One shot, and the game was over. "She's hurt," the commentator shouted. Seconds later, the ref jumped in. Dakota's PFL debut lasted 58 seconds, and she was just getting started. Ditcheva took on Corgganos in a women's flyweight bout at the 2022 PFL Championship in New York in November 2022. Before earning her first submission victory, Dakota was scheduled to fight Corgganos, an undefeated American with a 100% finishing rate. This was supposed to be her toughest test yet. It wasn't. The first right hand Dakota threw nearly put Corgganos into another dimension. The American fired back, but every attempt just made her a sitting duck for Dakota's counters. Then came Dakota's brutal knee to the body and a thunderous right hand that sent her straight to La La Land. Another opponent down. Well, who's next? Ditcheva competed against Malin Hermanson at the PFL Europe debut show in Newcastle in March 2023. By now, Dakota Ditcheva had built a reputation as a silent assassin. No trash talk, no theatrics, just pure destruction. But against Hermanson, she delivered one of her most cold-blooded finishes yet. Hermanson came in confident, talking about how she'd exposed Dakota's weaknesses. You know what's the result? She barely lasted 2 minutes. From the start, Dakota dictated the pace. A stiff jab kept Hermanson at bay, while the threat of Dakota's kicks forced her into defensive mode. But then, boom! Dakota exploded with a devastating right cross that sent Hermanson staggering. Then came the finisher, a perfect head kick that landed with the force of a wrecking ball. "That's it! That's it! Dakota Ditcheva does it again!" the commentator roared as Hermanson crumbled to the mat. Another first-round finish. Another victim added to the list. Dakota fought Cornelia Holm in the PFL Europe Women's Flyweight semi-final at PFL Europe 3 playoffs in France in September 2023. Cornelia Holm was very tough. A former IMMAF world champion, she had never been stopped before in her professional career. But Dakota Ditcheva doesn't care about your honors. She only cares about how fast she can put you away. The fight started with Holm pressing forward, trying to turn the match into a dogfight. But Dakota was too slick, too sharp, just too damn good. Every time Holm moved in, she got lit up with crisp counters and brutal body kicks. Then came the moment that made the crowd gasp. Dakota, standing firm in the clinch, saw her opening. Bam! A slicing elbow straight down the middle. Holm's face was instantly drenched in blood. And before she could react, Dakota followed up with a knee hit and hammer fists that forced the referee to step in. "Oh my God! She split her open like a watermelon!" the commentator yelled as Dakota walked away, emotionless. Another win in the bag. Ditcheva faced Gina Bishop in the co-main event of PFL 7 2024 playoffs on August 2024 at the Nashville Municipal Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee. The bout was a semi-final in the PFL Women's Flyweight Tournament. Dakota Ditcheva and Gina Bishop were about to show up for a fight, but this wasn't just another fight. It was war. This was the fight that would determine who would inch one step closer to the coveted crown in the PFL Women's Flyweight Tournament. The stakes were high. As the bell rang, Dakota wasted no time. No theatrics, just raw precision. She stalked Bishop, waiting for the perfect moment. Then, in a flash, Dakota unleashed a brutal combination of strikes. Bishop was overwhelmed, and at 3:56 of round 1, the referee stepped in, calling the fight. A first-round TKO victory for Ditcheva. Swift, brutal, and utterly dominant. It's not just another win, it's a guaranteed spot in the tournament finals. Dakota Ditcheva faced Lisa Malden at PFL 1 in Texas, United States, in April 2024. This was supposed to be Dakota Ditcheva's toughest test. Lisa Malden was no joke, a well-rounded fighter with knockout power and elite grappling. The PFL saw this as a fight that could push Dakota to her limits. Instead, it became her most ruthless destruction yet. The moment the fight started, Dakota went to work. A front kick to the chest sent Malden flying backward. A stiff jab knocked her head back. By the time Malden realized what was happening, she was already drowning in deep waters. At the 2-minute mark, Dakota landed a beautiful step-in elbow that staggered Malden. Smelling blood, she swarmed. An uppercut, a knee to the body, and a final head kick that sent Malden crashing to the canvas. "Dakota Ditcheva is unstoppable," the commentator roared. What a flawless performance. Another first-round finish. And with that, Dakota Ditcheva officially cemented herself as the most feared woman in the PFL. So the question isn't whether she's the future of MMA. The real question is, who, if anyone, can stop her? Because right now, Dakota Ditcheva isn't just winning, she's ruling.